Hello and welcome to Luna and the Druid, a channel where we talk about spirituality, magic, tarot, druidism, wheel of year, and all sorts of other cool stuff. I am Luna, and next to me, virtually, is Jan, the Druid. Hello, Jan.
Hello, Luna. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Welcome our lovely viewers. Say hi in the comments if you feel like. We love to see when you communicate with us through the comments. Um, yes, today we embark on the journey of self-discovery, drawing introspection and inspiration from the wisdom of the hermit. As you know, we do a series of the Fool's Journey, which is a separate series to the live videos we make. And this week, it'll be a hermit card. So let's begin by taking a moment to ground ourselves. Close your eyes and take a deep breath and connect with a present moment. With that said, Jan, introspection. What comes to your mind when you hear this word?
Well, when you hear the word introspection and you translate it, intro, inside, inspection is inspect or see or watch. So have a look inside. Have a look inside your mind, your brain, your thought processes. What's going on there? What's happening
Mm-hmm.
inside? Introspection, a very first idea also comes to mind, that it's looking back at what happened. But in my preparation for this week, I'm also looking at introspection as a way forward, as a, as a part of the process of manifesting your ideal life, or manifesting change in your life, or
Mm.
changing your outlook, changing your perspective from the inside out.
Very good. Very good. Well, to me, it's the practice of self-reflection, as you said, but it's a powerful tool for the personal growth and well-being. It involves examining your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors to gain a deeper understanding and get the more understanding of yourself, basically. Um, yes.
Yes, it's all about re-evaluating your priorities. So setting your priorities straight. What's really important in my life, and think about that deeply. Because if you want to change something, or if you think about the future from the now, huh, it's always a process that happens in the now. It's not like when you introspect on the past or in the future that you go there. No, you do it in the now, and you from the now you visit it, and you look at what's important in my life, or what can I let go, or what limiting beliefs do I still carry with me from the past, or what boundaries have I crossed, or what boundaries did I allow other people to cross into my life, into my energy, or what patterns in my life, what things that happen repeatedly in my life, which I should address, because they're probably not always serving you.
Mhm. Well said. Well said. You've given a very brief definition of today's topic because I think it's worth exploring those areas even
Of
more.
course, yeah, yeah.
Mhm. So where shall we start?
Well, we can look at the list of things I said, like your priorities and your values, identifying them, um, looking at what's really or truly important in your life, and think about the changes you want to make there.
Hmm. Okay. So when we think of looking within, what actually does it mean?
What actually does it mean? It's like when you started here this stream, and you said, okay, let's close our eyes for a second. When you close your eyes, what actually happens is your eyeballs turn the other way around, and you already start looking within, and so it's looking at your core, at your self, at your beliefs, at what constructs you, or what have you constructed of yourself, and then investigating what of these self-constructed ideas are actually true, or are
Mm.
actually serving, because that's another thing, of course. The ego, the egoic mind, the voice in the head, we believe normally when the voice in the head says something, oh, it comes from within.
Yeah, it's and
Yeah,
that actually is me, which is not true.
it's not always true. No,
Mhm.
the voice in the head is a separate entity fed with judgments or negativities or self doubt, or self critics, and they're not serving you very well, normally, these thoughts. And so investigate them, listen to them. Sometimes what I even do, sometimes write them down, and then after I've written them down, say which ones should I change, and then I strike them out, or I strike out a few words. For instance, this can't be done, and I just remove the apostrophe t, and it says this can be done, which is much more positive and reaffirming, of course. And these are tricks, these are small methods to change your beliefs, and to change how you think about things, and to suppress the negativity that sometimes comes up. And we've talked about in earlier shows about self-love, and finding control, movement, and everything. And all these things are more or less always put into question by the ego,
Mm. So true. So
and not
true.
in a perfect way.
Everything starts from the awareness. Awareness is the key. If we have no awareness, we can't make any changes. We can't even look at things. So introspection allows us to gain clarity on so many aspects. And from holistic coaching point of view, Jana and I are both coaches, and we do that work on daily basis, is to take under consideration not just the thoughts, as you mentioned, but also the inner well-being. Some call it a soul, some call it high, some will call it higher self, some will call it, give me a name, because it's all a label for that same entity which is bigger than us. It's the soul, it's the spirit, our own spirit.
Okay.
Emotions, that's another entity, that's another, almost like a living being within us as well. And those can actually very often take control over us. So introspection is the tool which allows you to stop all of that for a moment and just, it's like taking a step back in order to see more.
Yeah, take a higher vantage point, so you get a wider perspective, and the perspective is from the inside. And of course, what not everybody knows or has experienced, but once you go inside, you discover that there is a whole universe there. I was going to say there's a whole world there. That doesn't do it right. It's a complete universe you have inside of you. And um, we experience that most often in the life of dreams, where we have a universe that doesn't follow our laws of physics. But of course, this internal universe can be reached in meditation, in contemplation, in with breath work. Yeah, you mentioned the square breath, the four counts of four: four in, four pause, four out, four pause, and repeat. And with the focus on this breath work, you silence the uncontrolled thoughts, you take control over your thoughts, then you decide what to think. Sometimes say bring on the next thought, and when you ask that, it doesn't come. So make space for these spontaneous, positive, affirmative thoughts in your mind.
Of course. When we quiet our mind, that's when our intuition can actually start to speak loud and clear because we give it a space for it to express itself. We are giving our attention to the voice, to the guidance.
Yes, we do. We do.
Mhm.
And in silence, in the silence of the mind, when the mind no longer speaks loud, the real inspiration can come. Because
Absolutely.
that's a big problem with many people. I notice that when they say, yeah, I'm not happy in my job or in my relationship or in my living conditions or with my family or with my health, uh, and then I ask, but what would you want? For instance, what kind of a job would you want, or what would you like to do? And they stand silent. They don't know.
Mm. That must be
And that's
really tough to not to know what is the alternative.
that's it. And
Mhm.
and then uh, and then I sometimes ask people, think of what you would do uh, without without force and without having to do it. What would you do, even if you wouldn't be paid for it? Because that's where you find it. What are you doing in your free time? And there's an idea of what can come. Or I even sometimes take people back to when they were 15, 16, between 16 and 25. What were you doing right then? What was your side hustle when you were at school? And you get people like say, oh, I worked with cars. And then you talk about it, especially men, of course. All men love cars. And sometimes they come to you, okay, maybe I can do something with classic cars, or something funny there, something that
Mhm.
that's interesting, and that defies the blueprint.
I love to say, love what you're doing, or actually do what you love, and you won't be working a single day until the rest of your life.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Regularly taking time to actually reflect on the thoughts, emotions, or our reactions, it depends what comes up to the surface, uh, will give you the space to get yourself more, to find out what's within you, and this can help to bring you your motivation, or for example will help you to define your values. It depends on what is the subject you're trying to work through.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is two ways of working like that. That's we could call it contemplative inquiry. So asking yourself the questions: what brings me joy? What makes me happy? What am I holding on to that no longer serves me, and why? And of course, there's we're all social beings, and sometimes there are social constructs within the family or within society, or even sometimes within yourself, that you believe you had to have to adhere to. And find these things that are really blocking you from manifesting your true purpose, and then observe your reactions to these ideas, and do that without judgment. So
Mhm.
without judgment, think of what's yeah, what you reflect upon, and then find the patterns and the triggers, and from there on, start changing them. And there's various ways of that.
You said a very important thing: do it without judgment. And we're probably going to talk about the judgment when we're going to have a judgment card uh,
Yes.
in few weeks. However, it is very important to learn how to be the observer, not the judge, not the person who um, takes a thought and looks at it from every single angle in order to make their own opinion. No, just freely allow it to flow without judgment. Just accept what it is. Uh, Even I sometimes catch myself on this monkey brain, especially when there is a stressful situation. Recently, I had a very stressful situation with Karma, our producer. She's a puppy and she gets into a teenage age right now. So she's not always listening to me because she has her own agenda. And one time she completely disappeared. It was a full moon night and she wandered off and I didn't know where she was. It was dark, it was windy, and obviously I got into a panic mode. And what my mind was actually giving me, I call it a package of thought. Obviously, there was a judgment straight away because how could I let the dog outside without a leash during the full moon? Obviously, I thought that the instincts took over. I was trying to find her. And oh my goodness, this was such a big lesson for me because she eventually came back. But I've lost probably the 10 years of my life because of those thoughts. But what I observed and what was great was the fact that after a while, I could actually take a step back from those thoughts and observe them. And at some point, it became funny because what was going into my mind was absolutely ridiculous. But it's very easy to lose ourselves in those thoughts. There was, as I said, there was judgment, there was thoughts of me being not responsible, and she most likely got stuck in my neighbor's house because she loves to go there and bark at the cats and eat their food. uh, However, I will never ever forget that experience, and for me since that day it's a reminder of, hey, thoughts are just thoughts, simple as it is.
Yes. So, in all honesty, what have you learned from that then, Luna?
Not to give control, not to give the package of thoughts or thoughts itself control over me and my life. And before we go any further, I'm sharing a comment here from Richard. It says introspection as the purposeful reflection on and conscious analysis of the thoughts is also the foundation of moral integrity. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
Mm, yes, but you asked me what I've learned from that situation. First of all, do not let my doggy out without a leash in the evening when it's full moon. Immediately after that situation, I started to put a light in, like a collar with flashing light on her. So I will see her every time she goes. We do it on a daily basis. She's very good with recall, so she's allowed to go outside without me. I'm just observing her through the window. And we kept doing this because there was a need for me to trust her that she won't do it again, because she came back home scared. I've never seen her so frightened, so I think there was a lesson in this behind it as well. Uh, but as I said, that package of thoughts I received, that was a really light bulb moment for me, because the emotions which the thoughts caused, as I said, 10 years of my life less. My heart was pounding. I was going through such a stress. I actually had to call my best friend to help me keep the sanity. And she was just breathe, just breathe. And what is the most funny is I teach those things every day. And even though sometimes we still may forget.
Yeah. Yeah. And in situations like that, all your teachings go out of the window, and you live with them. By the way, which which made me think of maybe a good reaction. Do you know the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Have you ever heard of
No,
it?
tell me about it.
That's a science fiction novel, I think, from the 70s with a BBC series. And it's about a book called The Hitchhiker's Guide of the Galaxy. But on the cover of the book, it doesn't say Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It says, don't panic,
Yeah.
which is a very sound advice.
It is
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so hard when we let emotions control us. all the teachings, everything I know just went through the roof.
Yeah,
And
got out. Yeah.
obviously, when I caught myself going through this panicky, almost like a panic attack, that was the moment when I got back control over me. I started to breathe. I just calmed myself down. I knew that everything's fine. I knew that she will be back. And I knew that it's not a big deal.
Mm.
However, as a little bit overprotective mother, it was a very stressful moment.
Yeah,
And the sign of relief when I saw her standing at the door, oh my goodness, best moment ever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not even
So
angry, happy.
yeah, well, I wasn't angry at all. it's
No, of
it's
course not. Yeah.
yeah, no, I was relieved, um because I knew that the stress is over and I can relax. I can take the breath, which relaxes the nervous system, which is the like a long breath with sight out.
Good. Good.
I will never forget that day.
No. Hey, and
Anyway, let's move
yeah,
forward.
yeah. Let's move forward. Yeah, Luna. How do we? So when we introspect, when we uh, look at the things, contemplative, mindful, visualizing our future, or visualizing our life ahead, how do we apply these insights? How do we work with them?
Long story short, by aligning our actions with our goals.
Okay, okay, aligning our actions with our goals, and so from goals, uh,
Mhm.
goals you would call goals intentions, or is there a difference there?
Yeah, I actually would say that there is a difference between goals and what was the word you used?
In, intentions.
Intention. For me, intention is the first. It's everything starts with intention, in my opinion. Let me think about it. Yeah. So the intention would be the first part of creating a goal. By intending something, we express the willingness for something to happen in our life. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes.
And then with that intention, we can actually think of a plan, aligning our action and taking next step or steps necessary in order to make that goal our reality, and then make that goal or dream happening, to manifest that in our lives. That's a really big shortcut, but
Yeah. So in that perspective, you could say the intentions are the compass, or the course you set out, and the goal is the action. Is
hmm,
is putting the vehicle in first gear and pushing the throttle to,
hmm,
to
great
set
way of
setting
expressing
in
it.
motion. Yeah, yeah, okay. So it's and the intentions would also be um, the checkpoints of your of the road to your goals.
Mm,
Does this goal still does is the road where I'm on still aligning with my plan, or should I adjust my higher plan because it's not going the way that I planned, because it usually doesn't.
yeah.
Not
There is a
everything goes
saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, uh,
bingo.
which is so true, because intention by itself is not enough. We can wish the best, we can wish for the best, but without taking any responsibility or any action, nothing will happen. Like things
That
won't magically fall from a sky unless it's rain.
yeah.
Um, we have a comment here from Magda. Hi, all. Yes, our thoughts are very powerful. They can take over our body responses in a split second. And that's exactly what I've experienced the other day. Our awareness and control of breath can be our savior. Absolutely, I agree with that. Let me show you that comment as well. When I'm showing it on the screen, it's hard for me to read because the letters are very small.
Yeah.
but I'm hope you will be
Yeah,
able to.
but what you say is true. For instance, when you get emotional, you breathe like you've run the marathon.
Yes. What is
You
emotion?
get out of breath. It's suffocating. Yeah,
Oh my goodness, absolutely. The blood pressure goes so high. You get red. You start to pant. The heart is pounding like crazy. And
yeah,
what is emotions? It's the energy in motion.
yeah,
Um, and it's a great skill to transform the emotions into our own power.
yeah.
Um, but that's a completely separate topic.
Different story. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're losing track of our introspection journey. But
Because we are Geminis and we like
we
to talk.
always lose track. That's what we do. That's who we are. We would
That's a
be.
little secret of how to
Yeah,
be a Gemini.
yeah. We could do it. We could do a live on that one. How to be a Gemini.
That's a great idea. I love
Okay,
it. How to
let's
take
write that down.
advantage of what.
Of course, there's pros, and there might be some other things as well, but most of the things I regard as pros. Um, and Gemini's, well, what do we do when we have set our intentions, when we defined our goals? We take the actionable steps. So we break down the intentions and the goals into steps, and steps, like we always say, when you want to go somewhere, don't jump from point A immediately in the next life. Do it step by
Mhm.
step, because this way you secure your progress. If you take a major leap unprepared into the darkness and you miss the point, you lost everything. And when you cut down the leap in 100 or 1000 or 10,000 steps, doesn't really matter. But every step is a step forward, and they add up. And when you miss a small step, there's nothing major has happened. But when you miss a big step, your whole plan can go to
Mm.
shambles, or you can make a total reboot, or so actionable steps, but make them tiny, or tiny enough, or make them serial, many steps after each other. And from then,
Not
what?
mention, please let me add something. Not
Yeah,
mention that thinking of a bigger picture or that big step can be overwhelming, and it may cause procrastination, may cause fear to rise up, and it may lead to not taking action at all.
yeah,
And if you have a smaller step, it's not so scary anymore. It's easier to take, just like Jan said. And it's more, I've lost the word. It's more, and we tend to take action if there is less.
yeah, yeah. So, like, it's like eating an elephant sandwich, Luna. An elephant sandwich, you don't push an elephant in your whole mouth. You take little bites at once.
That's a terrible expression, but I understand the meaning.
Especially towards it's a chocolate elephant, or
Yes, chocolate and
without milk, of course.
yes.
A dark chocolate, a cacao, a cacao chocolate elephant. Um, and the thing with the baby steps is, the baby steps. What you have in mind there is the end result, is the goal. So you have the goal, you have a route towards it, but sometimes there's not a direct road. And with the baby steps, you can divert from the road, and later on get back again, because there can be a diversion, or there can be a blockade, or there can be a mountain in front of you that even blocks your idea of getting to the goal, because you can't see the goal anymore. And then turn a bit sideways, step on, and introspection then halfway the process. So be flexible in the process of reaching your goal. Set
Mhm.
your goal, introspect on your goal, visualize your goal, visualize the result. Always go for the end result. Don't ask yourself to have a complete roadmap ahead, because the complete roadmap might not be complete after all. We're not knowing that. So be flexible, and then, yeah, and embrace that you need to change things. Embrace that things you thought were true don't have been transformed. They're not permanent.
I had a great example with my last coaching client. The other day, I was coaching someone who came to me because she was overwhelmed with the amount of tasks she had to do by the certain period of time before the certain date. So we went through the list of things which needs to be done. We prioritized them. We came up with a actionable and real plan which can be implemented every day. So from the big task, from the big list of things she had to do, we came up with the baby steps approach. And it looked completely different because at the end of a session, she didn't have a full list of things to be done. She had just task after task every day by day.
Yeah, and that's such a good method of going through it. And the lovely thing, especially when you work off task lists is that you can check them.
Yeah.
And the positive feeling you get when you check them is so lovely.
Yep.
I've the habit of journaling. You might know that, and I don't create a task list every day. I just create a task list for when I have one in my mind. When I wake up with, oh, I have so much to do, I turn them into a list, and then 10 days later or a week later, I look back and then check them off and see, okay, of the
Mhm.
10 I had, nine are already done. And the last one, oh, that was sorted already. I
And the
shared it well.
dopamine rises. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
Yeah.
We feel great. We achieved so much.
Yeah, and that's when you feel that's when you feel like a winner. That's when you feel you won there. How
Magda is
about
asking, how about to be an Aquarius? I think it was about the series on how to be a Gemini. Perhaps that's
yeah?
something we could look into and talk about astrology and science and how to take the power. But again, we are sidetracking
Yes,
today.
I'm thinking now. Yeah, let's
This
get
is the
back.
best example of how the mind works. One thought leads to another, and then another, and then another, especially when you're a woman. And when you're a Gemini, oh my goodness, it's double.
Yeah,
And what introspection does, it helps you to center yourself and take control over it and be again in that seat of a driver. Put your both hands on the steering wheel and go where you want to be. And of course, sometimes there will be a nice view and you will want to go there. But
yep,
eventually, having the control over the steering wheel will make you get where you want.
yeah. And in the process, so be kind to yourself. Practice self-compassion. Uh, Confronting your fears, confronting resistance, confronting this big mountain. How does it look? How does it keep me away from my goal? And then take the right action. Don't do nothing. Take the right action. Take the correct action.
Mm.
And very important, on your path to self-realization, ask for support, ask for community. Make sure you have someone that knows of your plan, that can give you feedback on the road where you are. If you don't have someone, ask Luna or ask a professional in the road. How should I approach this? And
Yeah.
we can work through these steps, even if sometimes they look daunting, they look scary, they look, if you can't overcome them, there's always a way out. There's always a way out.
Absolutely. And coaching gives a lot of tools. As I said before, both Jan and I are coaches. So we can help.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't be afraid to ask for help. There is nothing wrong or nothing to be ashamed when you feel like you can't do it or there is something stopping you. Just ask for help, just like Jan said.
yeah,
I think we don't do it enough in our lives. Obviously, it's a general thought. Uh, but from my observations, sometimes it's so hard for people to ask for help because they judge themselves. They think that it's something bad. It's not. It's actually the sign of strength.
yeah. And the same goes, actually. It's not always outside help. You probably not even always need a coach. Sometimes
Mhm.
a family member or a friend can lend a helping hand, or some I have even have, I know from my personal experience that when I was on a path to realizing some stuff and I got stuck financially, that there were people who were able to support me financially, not by giving, but just supplying a loan that would be paid back even with interest. And and you might not know a lot of these people, but having one is obviously enough. So ask for help around you, professionally. Just make sure that you stay on track, that you stay moving, you keep moving, you don't come to a complete standstill. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do we get after that, Luna?
I would love to talk a little bit about how introspection can help you to make decisions as well. We touched on this
Yeah.
briefly,
Yeah.
but very often we might find ourselves lost in not knowing what to do. We
Yeah.
talked about achieving goals and achieving steps, but sometimes we have decisions to make, which are important, which will reflect not only in our lives, but in the lives of other people as well. How introspection could help in this case?
Yeah. A good question. The most important thing, um, inside what you can do when you're in doubt is visualize.
Mm,
Visualize, visualize a certain step. What happens? What are the responses from people? What are the responses from society? How will the world react to what I'm planning? How do I see myself in this situation? It's always important when you visualize, put yourself at the center of the situation you're looking into, and visualize there your plan, and write it. Then maybe write it down. Write down a plan of action. Write down a plan of the things you want to change and why you want to change them, and don't even bother too much about how you will change them, but look at the thing without the steps and without the limiting beliefs. For instance,
mhm,
I first need to solve this before I can do that. That's paralyzing, because you're going to focus on the first thing that you think you need to realize, and you lose track of what you really want to do. So always
mhm.
keep the end result, keep the goal in mind, and go from there, which is easier said than done, but still it's it's the way to go. So
I like to go even a step further
yeah,
and visualize the worst possible scenario, the worst case that it might happen.
yeah,
We fear, most of the time, we fear the unknown. We fear of things which we don't know, which we don't know how we're going to react. By visualizing what is the worst case scenario, it gets more familiar. And we having this way of looking and that perspective will allow you to think of a plan A, B, C, perhaps even D, in order to be more prepared for different scenarios which may unfold.
yeah, yeah. And these are part of the prison break questions, as I call them. The these questions help you break out of the jail that your mind has created. And what's the worst that can happen is a very good question, and most of the times it's completely liberating. you, you won't die, you won't get sick either, and you won't lose all your money, but things will change, you know. And we're so afraid of changes, so we have to overcome our own fears, uh, our own fears of being judged and everything. But being judged, been there, done that, and I'm not taking it any longer.
Mm, yeah, that's a great skill to have, and that's important in life to don't give up on what other people
Don't get
think
that.
or say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
A question to our viewers. If you would like to share, please do. Please write in the comments how you use the power of introspection in your life. Do you do that or you don't? I'm curious. I would love to see. If not, that's fine, of course.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. Yeah. What's the end result? What would you integrate? What would happen when you work your way through these changes you're visualizing, you're dreaming about? Uh, what's the result?
um, you actually answered that to that. You answered that question within a question, which is the integration.
Yeah, well, that's of course that's that's the Holy Grail, and the Holy Grail is not about the answer. The Holy Grail is found when you pose the right question.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
this
what?
is so true. The
Yeah, what?
integration of the body, mind, spirit, actions, goals, desires, emotions. Yeah.
Yeah, and so of course these goals would eventually lead to you living your authentic life, living your purpose, living who you want to be, and and oftentimes that comes down to uh, stepping out of the roles the and the demands and the things that society or your environment asks of you. It sometimes leads you to freedom and stepping out of the blueprint.
Mm.
We all have probably been there. You've probably been there too when you had a 9 to 5 job and and a mortgage or a big rent to pay every month and at a certain stage, you come to the conclusion, I'm kept. I'm a prisoner. I'm being kept a prisoner. I'm a prisoner of the banks. I'm a prisoner of my landlords or the housing corporation that rents me my house, um, and I need to work because every month I have to pay the rent, and you're running around in circles and you're getting nowhere. And that's the moment when sometimes you have to make a sacrifice to step out of this circle that will inevitably lead to you working till 66, then retiring and dying, and you know and you've done everything right, but is it worth writing a book about your life? Is it worth making a movie of your life story? That's we all want more than this. We want to awaken the artist in ourselves, or even if it's a life artist, the someone who makes turns their life into a masterpiece.
Mm. Mm.
And that's what most of us aspire, and that's a lot of us will hardly ever reach.
Mm. But that's also turning point, a pivot. It can be a pivot in our lives because very often when we get to that place, that's when we awaken, and that's when we take control over our life and change it, change the path we are going. That's what happened to me. I was doing a job I wasn't satisfied at all. uh, I was obviously underpaid. And one day I asked myself a question: what am I doing here? And this changed my life. But without that question, without introspection, without me looking at what wasn't working, none of it would happen. None of the changes, none of the transformation. I simply wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, so you stepped out and you changed the things, and we all know from these moments, or maybe if you have never been there, you don't, but if you know these moments, sometimes it feels like your whole life is collapsing or imploding in itself. But always remember that's just a process, and
Mm,
the process will end, and um, I know from being in the process that after it comes a better life.
of course.
Yeah.
We talked so many times about the importance of transformation and the importance of facing adversity as a way of growing and transforming. I recommend going into our playlist and watching the live about overcoming adversity. There was some gold in that conversation in terms of how to deal with certain things. And we have few lovely comments here. Creative Soul Tarot says, if I'm trying to make a decision or get an answer, I usually get what I need when I meditate. And this is so true. When the meditation is, to me personally, the best way of introspecting. When I sit, play music, create a sacred space for myself, and even going, and especially going out in the nature and sitting with the nature, that's when the magic really happens. Yeah, there is another comment from Michael.
Oh, then
Sorry,
Carla?
Michelle. I'm so sorry. I would love to try and integrate introspection in my life to try to heal and overcome a lot of stuff, but find it difficult to focus on and implement it.
Yeah,
That's a thank you for sharing that comment, because
yeah,
that's very often where we don't know how to do it. Perhaps
yeah.
we could talk a little bit about it. How?
Yeah. The first idea I get is that um, there is a lot of stuff, and if you look at a lot of stuff as just one big pile of stuff, it's a big pile of stuff. And a big secret to overcoming these things is to compartmentalize them. So turn them into a lot of small stuffs and try to mitigate them one by one. The small ones and the easy ones first, because these are the easy wins, the low hanging fruit as they call it. That's what will give you power, Michelle. That you are able to overcome things in itself. So start with some easy things, and then gradually move to bigger problems and bigger issues. And uh, so
Deeper
again,
wounds. Yeah.
it again comes down to baby steps. So make don't look at your problems as if it's just your whole life is in shambles, because it actually is not. It's there's always cups that are half full or,
Mhm.
or overflowing. They're not all empty. You know what I mean? In a tarot method of saying the Five of Cups, where someone looks at the three cups that were fallen over and emptied, and is so obsessed by the three empty cups that he doesn't see the two ones in the back that are still standing. And
Mhm.
so that there's look at the bright sides, look at the things that are working, look at your small gains, and then turn smaller problems into victories, and then slowly work towards the higher and more difficult goals.
Yeah.
Hope that answers your question, or maybe you can add something to Michelle's question, Luna.
Not mention to allow yourself to feel, to allow those emotions to rise. What we are talking here right now is basically shadow work, which introspection is a basic in order. It starts there. It is important to find the emotions within us which represent that situation, and feel it and release it. Not like holding on to something, holding on to past will only keep you in the same space where you are, in the same spot where you are. It won't let you grow, it won't let you move, because when we are holding to something so tightly, we're not able to move. We are scared if we're gonna if we're going to let go of it, we're going to fall down. But sometimes falling down is the only way. Falling down into that black rabbit hole is the way out. um, Very often when we face adversity, when we are in a stressful situation, traumatic situation where we don't know what to do, we tend to push our emotions and hide them somewhere, because we don't want to face them. We don't want to face pain. We don't want to face fear. We don't want to face any other negative emotions or something we perceive as negative thing. We tend to put it away, lock it, and not look at it. And what happens, it moves from the conscious mind into our subconscious, into our body, hides somewhere within our body, in an organ, for example, in a special area, and it starts to buzz like a zzz in a background. Zzz. And after a while, if we won't take any action towards it, it's going to start buzzing more and more. And the power of it, the vibration of it, let's call it like this, the vibration of it will start to grow and affect, first of all, our organs, as well as our feeling, our thoughts, our emotions. And it'll be just playing its role, and it will grow from something like this sometimes into something huge, where it's really difficult to look at and deal at. And I'm always a biggest fan of allowing our emotions to come to a surface so we could release them, we could feel them, acknowledge them, that they're there, and make a space and make a room for them. Because life is not only about being happy and experiencing only great things. Life is about being, is about living, is about experiencing everything, from the beautiful colorful palettes through the shadow into the deep darks. Because with no darkness there is no light, with no light there is no darkness.
Yeah, and that's also the shadow work you're referring to. Uh, the when you hide it, it's going into the shadow, but we need to bring it out of the shadow. We have to shine a light on it, and work with it, and grow from there.
Yeah, it's like that, taking the monsters out of the bed into the light. And when we shine some light on them, very often they're not so scary anymore.
That's it. Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Michelle said, I seem to keep falling down and have to push aside emotions to try and function as best as I can as the situation presents. If that can make sense, then hits the fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're talking here about the stress response to a
yeah,
challenging
yeah,
situation.
yeah. And so it's actually, yeah, more or less. Maybe Michelle, uh, after look with this question in mind, look this episode back one more time, because lots of the answers have already been said. You keep on falling down. uh, you have to suppress your emotions, which is never a good thing on the long term. Of course, there are situations when you want to hide them, you need to hide them, in a professional setting or whatever. You have, sometimes you have to hide them, but not never forever.
Mhm.
Let them out, and and um, fight or flight. Find this middle path where you take right action in response to a certain situation. So every situation has a good action, and every situation also has a less favorable action. Uh, Find the best one, and if you can't, yeah, again, ask here, or ask in private. Uh, Ask a friend to help you there. It's not an easy thing. It's if you're really overwhelmed with what life throws at you. It's not easy just to. It's not just a few steps and boom, you're out. No, it's a process you have to go through, and the process is never the easiest. But after the process, that's that's when true happiness can shine again.
Yeah, we gain a different perspective on stuff. Michelle, I really recommend watching our last live episode on overcoming adversity. We share a lot of techniques, we share a lot of tips on how to deal with a stressful situation as well. Perhaps you will find more answers as well over there. What comes to me when I read your comment is, why do you push your emotions in the first place? So, what I would do is to introspect on that question. Journaling is a great way of getting the goodies out from our mind, especially our subconscious mind. Automatic writing, it's called. When you sit, especially in the morning, it works great. When you sit with 3 A4 pages, not less, not more, 3. There is a lot of magic in the number 3. And just ask this question and write. And sometimes at the beginning you won't know what to write. And even if you write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, it starts the process and you will be amazed where it can get you. Obviously, it's called automatic writing. So you don't pay attention to what actually your hand is writing. You don't judge that. You just write.
Yeah.
Michelle is saying, watched it. We'll rewatch. Thank you. It's great to have you here. It's great to have you here, and thank you for coming back and spending with us Monday evening.
More time with us. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Luna,
Jan,
what a lovely topic.
I feel like it's been an hour, and I feel like we touched just a little bit. Sorry, I pressed the button unintentionally. There is a lot of chaos today on my side. Apologies for that.
You're doing fine.
Yes. Shall we add something? Did we miss something when we think about introspection?
Yeah, well, the thing is, how do you introspect? How maybe that would be a good idea. So we talked about meditate, being mindful.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about journaling. Journaling is a
Mm-hmm.
very introspective um, practice. What we do, the two of us, we have the cards here. Card reading is also a good help. What I sometimes say when I'm not reading for past, present, future or Celtic cross, just pull a few cards and see what question do they pose. What's that can trigger introspection, so a reflection on some cards you pull and the questions they pose to you. Um, Going out, Luna, you mentioned it. Going out in nature is always good. And the last thing I would say there is make rituals. Make
Mm.
introspection a part of a ritual. Um, Light a candle, burn some incense, uh, soft light, uh, a good atmosphere. So turn it into a ritual. Take a nice and soothing bath if you have one, or a shower, warm and long. And in that soothing and caring state of mind, bless yourself with some positive thinking and some positive introspection and some self-loving, self-caring ideas on how to address the things that are playing in your life.
Mm. Richard, who's a sound healer, says play your Himalayan bowl. Himalayan bowl is similar to Tibetan bowl. Some people can have crystal bowls as well, but basically music. It's another
Yeah, of course.
beautiful way of tapping into our inner self. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Julie says, yes, Richard, lead drums. I love my singing bowl.
Singing
So
bowl,
do
yeah.
I
And
have
the
one here
bell,
on my altar. Unfortunately, the camera doesn't pick so wide, but I do have it as well.
yeah,
And
center.
the one which keeps me grounded. Obviously, I didn't use it today.
You naughty girl.
Ah, yes.
Yes,
It's
always use your
very
thing.
important what you just said, Jan, to find our own ways and allowing ourselves to create a sacred space, because the time we give ourselves is sacred. If when we are rushing through the day, there is so many responsibilities, other people to take care of, it's easy to forget about our own needs.
Yeah, and we
And
shouldn't.
we shouldn't. And introspection is a big one. It's a very important one because it helps us to organize our thoughts, to make sense out of them or not. It depends on what is in our head, but to ask ourselves why my thoughts don't make sense, why this and that happens. Where am I going wrong with this? Maybe there is an action I should take and I'm not taking. Maybe there is something I'm ignoring. Maybe there is a feeling I'm ignoring. And just by sitting with ourselves, it creates a space for that to come up to the surface in order to be healed.
That's it. That's it. So thank you, Luna, for the wise words, the
Thank you.
guidance, inspiration. And yeah, maybe this is a good time to yeah, to put a bit of a spotlight on you. you're
Very.
you're a life coach, you're a teacher, you're a mentor, and
An
you're
energy
a
healer
reader,
as well.
an energy healer. Um, so whenever you're stuck or whatever, need some guidance, need some inspiration, need some past, present, future reading, or an oracle reading, or some coaching on introspection or overcoming adversity, finding self love, go to guidedbyluna.com and make avail of these services this wonderful lady
Hmm, thank you.
can give you.
Thank you very much. Yes, my calendar is open for bookings. I'm available to have a chat, to have a discovery call, which is absolutely for free, when we discuss how could I basically help you and serve you. Okay, let's take me off this spotlight, please.
Okay. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Oh,
Okay, let's.
guys are saying here, hey, where are the cards? Yes, I agree, Richard. I'd
I
love
agree. Yeah, I was just
cards.
about to say that. About to say that. What shall we do, Luna? Some oracles? Or
Yeah,
yeah?
I'm gonna grab a soul helper deck. It doesn't want to come out. It means that's not the right deck then.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, got it. Um, I have the Soul's Journey deck. This is
So
the absolute must-have of my every session. Um, because many often we tend to forget that at the end of the day, we are not humans who have a soul. We are soul who is incarnated within the body of a human. So we are spiritual beings having a human experience and not human having a spiritual experience. So with that said, I'm just going to quickly reshuffle this deck and ask for guidance for those who are watching. And there we are. I have 3 cards. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. One of the cards which came out is adversity. So introspection can help us to face adversity. And I accept that challenges are the best way to learn. And we spoke about this before, that overcoming a challenges and facing the challenges is a great opportunity to learn. I also have here forgiveness. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love, which perfectly fit into this conversation today, because we were talking about acknowledging things, having to look at something we not necessarily want to sometimes look. But it's also about forgiving ourselves the times when, for example, we were judging ourselves or we were not taking care of us properly, of our needs, or when we made the decision where we thought we're doing a good thing, but it didn't turn out that way. It's all about forgiveness. And last but not least, I have here, I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate here with the grief. And that's a very interesting card which comes here within this topic, because very often grief will cause and will make us shut down, where we don't want to look at it, where we just want to push it because it's so painful. And it's important to allow ourselves space within the grief. But grief is a very deep topic. We have some specialists of grief here. Perhaps one time we could invite a grief specialist and talk about it more. But what is grief? Grief is the emotion of missing that something which is not in our life, because it's not always about losing a person. It's about losing opportunities, losing friends, as they didn't die but they left our life. And introspection will help to heal those emotions. I can see Jan shuffling, I think.
Yes, yes, I have
Is you
some
ready?
cards. Shall I switch the cameras
Yes,
to
please.
me? Um, Something you might not expect too much from me is pulling oracle cards, but I have a deck here. It's called the Prophet.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
a lovely.
special one. You with oracle cards. I don't see that often.
It's a special one. It was gifted to me by someone who was a reader but couldn't really work with it, and it's quite a complex deck. So I'll pull some cards from it and tell them. This one is called "Open Your Heart into the Body of Life,"
Hmm.
and the card itself talks about death and rebirth.
Hmm.
The next one, in the dew of the little things, the heart finds its morning. And there we have the helper. It's friendship.
Oh wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's
In the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning. It's always the small things, the baby steps, the steps taken together, the journey you do together with friends. And the last one being sing and dance together and be joyous. A very artsy card. Sing and dance together and be joyous. Friendship and marriage. Friendship and marriage.
wonderful.
And we have our producer with us. Oh,
Yeah.
are you gonna close? Are you coming to close the show? Are we
Yes.
over time, Karma?
That's exactly where she's here from. She's like, "Hey guys, you over time. Come on, wrap it up."
Okay.
Before we go, there are some lovely comments. Apart from all the comments saying yes, please about the cards, we are glad to see that, guys. It's really great. Richard says introspection absolutely helps with grief, since grief is in essence unprocessed loss. That's a beautiful definition of grief. Thank you
Mhm.
for sharing that. And these readings are incredible. How, oh, sorry, that moved. How, I can't even read it. How inspired.
How fortuitous and inspired. Fortuitous and inspired. And Miss Michelle says, "Wow, these cards are really hitting home with me. Was clearly meant to tune in this evening." Well,
Mm,
clearly were, Michelle. You clearly
we're
well,
glad you were here with us.
and so happy to have you here. And Julie, great tarot cards, or great cards. Thank you both. Hope you have a lovely week. And thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
You
you.
too. All right. Time
So,
to say goodbye.
time to say goodbye. This show was once more produced by Karma Productions Limited. And let me see this one away. Where it was again for me, and I think for you as well, Luna, a big pleasure to be here with you and to see you all show up here. And looking forward to the next show, midweek Thursday. I have a small thing tomorrow. I'm doing an interview on the Sheila Nagis of Ireland, which are the fertility
Mm.
symbols in Ireland, with the writer of the book on the Sheila Nagis. And maybe you know these maps that you can buy in the local bookshops, the maps of the stone circles of Cork and Kerry, and a map of the Wheel of the Year. And these maps are drawn by Jack Roberts, and I'm going to interview him tomorrow. So later this week, I will post the interview on our channel, of course. So there's a lot coming this week. Yeah. And that's especially because next Monday, the day after St. Patrick's Day, we have a day. It's called Sheila Nagi Day, and where we live on the Cork and Kerry border, just over the border in County Cork in Ballyvorney, is one of the most important and old Sheila Nagi statues built in the church wall. So we're going to talk about it.
Mm.
It's an interesting topic. But until then, I say hi
And we say bye.
and we say
Karma.
bye.
Michelle says she loves you. Yeah.
Oh,
Bye.
bye all.